My name is Ryan Paquin. I am the VA loan coach sponsored by First Home Mortgage here in Crofton, Maryland. Today I have two really special guests with us. We have Tanu, Faye, Eric, yes, right? We go by a bunch of different names, but we're going to call you Tanu today, okay?
That's fine.
Right. And I have Rose Taylor with Remax United, who is your real estate agent, right? Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your history and when you came to the States and when you enlisted and how that kind of transpired into where we are today.
Oh, that's fine by me. I moved to the States. I'm unofficially, let's put it that way, in 2016 as a migrant. Came on a visa, got arrested by immigration. Ended up spending about 7 months at a detention. Was given issued a green card by a judge as an apology, and then I joined the army in 2018. School in 2019, first deployment by the end of 2019. Then came back home. I think in 2021. That's when my first. I think around there. That's when my first deployment ended. Was bored just being in the National Guard, so I became a police officer as well. I'm a proud father of 3 kids and a wife, and from Cameroon originally.
Very good.
Yep.
And you are Prince George's County Police Department?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And then in 2024, you were was it on a drill or?
On a training exercise.
Training exercise.
Yeah.
And what happened?
We were coming back from Fort Dix, New Jersey, from a shooting range, and the steering wheel to the truck we were driving detached. Nobody understood. Nobody knows what happened actually and all that stuff. And the steering wheel detached, hit me in the head, and break my neck. So I ended up having 2 surgeries and wheelchair.
Wow. And so you were a homeowner at this time, right? You
Yes.
were living in Prince George's County?
Yes.
Okay. And so what was the prognosis? What did they tell you was going to happen?
They told me it's my spinal cord, so nobody could really give you an actual prognosis. All they could do is teach you how to use what you have. Initially, when I woke up in the hospital, all I could do was move my head, and right hand, left hand, and then left fingers, and then now slowly I got feelings everywhere. Like if you touch me, I know you touched me, which wasn't what was before.
That's great.
So right now they're just doing PTs and trying to manage my health as best as they can.
And at the time you had a 13-year-old?
Yes, at the time my daughter was 13.
And then a 1-year-old?
Yeah, my daughter was 13, my middle daughter was 1, and my wife was, at the time of injury, my wife was 8 months pregnant.
8 months pregnant
Yes.
when that happened?
Yes.
And they didn't know what was going to happen?
Nobody knew what was going to happen, but they were hopeful.
Yeah. So fast forward a year, you're starting to get some feeling back?
Yes.
Because at the time you were just able to kind of move your head, quadriplegic?
I was quadriplegic, just trying to move my head. The term is C6 incomplete.
Okay.
By that, I think I was like Asia C, and now I'm Asia B. So depending on the movement you get back, they drop the levels.
Okay. Now you're moving your hands, you're lifting some weights,
Yeah.
You're getting stronger. You said you had a little feeling in your foot.
I can get feelings in my foot. If you touch me, I know you touch it.
It's awesome. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your decision to leave where you were, your home, how that came to be, why you had to leave, and what was that decision for you to, find something that was maybe more suitable for you and your family?
So it's several factors. I didn't really like the house. Like for a better term, I was played, I didn't really like the house, but at first I didn't really see it because at first I was very, very busy. When I came back in 2021, my priority was bringing my family to the United States. And then when my wife got pregnant again, it was like, okay, now it's time for me to get a house. And then the lady that helped me buy the house wasn't really as in-depth or wasn't really forthcoming like Mrs. Rose here explained things to me. And It didn't take until one of my good friends' brother now, Chris, that called me. I was like, "Hey man," he said it first. This house isn't where you want to raise your kids. We had stuff breaking. Like if you go into the house, I had to repaint the whole house by myself. You know, I was planning because I was a handyman initially when I moved to the United States. So I was planning to do all that by myself. I repainted the house, did as much as I could. But with me being so busy with work and all that, and then looking into someone to fix it up, to fix everything up was too expensive, you know. So we had the house itself breaking down on us. We had the cost of the house, which was crazy because I was paying more than I'm paying for a house now that is bigger than what I have, you know. So it's so many factors. It's how can I say it? It's space. It's not spacious, you know. You can't call a house 3 living rooms when the living rooms are smaller than where we're in right now. And I didn't really know better too, you know, because like I said, the agent didn't really take the time to explain to me, like Miss Rose didn't really take the time to be like, okay, you're buying a home, this is the process. Okay, what amount of money do you have? Okay, what does your income? Like I had a conversation with you, I think sometime after I spoke with Miss Rose. What does your income look like? You know, what let's get you a home that you could live in, that you could pay for. Let's get you a home that you could live in that could meet your needs. Because there's a difference between just getting a house and getting a home. A home is where you want to feed your family. Because like one of the questions Ms. Rose asked me when we met was, how many kids do you have? How many kids do you want to have?
Right.
You know, do you want your kids to share a bedroom? Do you want your kids to have a bedroom on their own? Then what is the budget? You know, with this budget, what kind of house could we get you? And every time we went out to look for a home, okay, where would you want your kids to be? Like now you're in a wheelchair, you know, what other adaptations do you want to do to this home to make sure that this home could be able to meet your needs or meet you'll be able to get in, get out. You could be able to move in the kitchen. You could be able to get to your TV. You could be able to, you know, get to your backyard. So I think that those are some of the things that we looked into when we're getting a house. And sometimes we'll go to a house and I would like the house, and Ms. Rose will be like, nah, this house is not gonna work, you know. And that really, you know, that really speaks, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, she cares, right?
Yeah.
She wants to make sure your family is taken care of. So how was that process doing that house search, right? You're in a wheelchair at this point, and how are you getting around and seeing the home?
We had a great time.
We had a great time. we made it work, you know. I feel like as a soldier and as a police officer, one thing I pride myself also is dealing with adversity, you know. And when you meet people or you work with people that are willing to meet you at your point of need, that is most important, you know. And where I really clicked with the team, Miss Rose being the head of it, was when her husband was willing to come out to help me get into homes.
Yeah.
You know, the day I heard that, I was like, okay, no matter what, I'm sticking with Miss Rose. Because for you to, I know she's trying to grow a business and selling homes is how she makes a living, but you going that far as to, okay, you in a wheelchair, how are we going to get you into these houses? All right, let's schedule it on days that my husband is available to help pick you and get you into a house. You know, that tells you this is not just about homes anymore. This is a passion.
That's right.
You know, like I tell my kids every day, I'm not so much worried about money. I want you to do something in life that gives you joy, gives you happiness. I quit nursing to join the army, and everybody's like, you're crazy. Because for a while, I'd figure out being happy with what you do is better than how much you make out of it. And Ms. Rose wasn't really worried about how much she's going to make out of it. She was worried about how suitable that home is going to be for me, you know, and how easy the process is going to be. You know, she explained everything to me stepwise. Okay, I used to jump the gun. She's like, no, we're not there yet. do this first, that first, and then
Yeah.
everything will fall into place.
Well, Rose, speak to that a little bit. How was that process with, and you've worked with, in different situations, you have disabled veterans, but you also have people maybe that can't go see the house, right? They
Right.
are, maybe they haven't PCS'd yet, they're PCSing, but they haven't moved here yet. And so you have to show them a home when they're not here. And in some cases, you had to go tour the home for
Right.
Tanu and tell him how did that work for you?
Well, you know, a lot of it, believe it or not, there's a lot less talking and more listening when you're meeting people you never met them before, and whether you're meeting them in person or you're speaking with them over the phone, which you're right, I've done several times. It's important to find out what they're looking for,
Right.
who they are. Like he was saying, do you have children? Are you going to have children? I mean, that's a big thing. If you're going to have a family, where do you work?
Yeah.
Where do you want to work? What about your wife, your husband, your,
Yeah.
where are you trying to be? So when I'm working with people that are from out of town, I'm going to assume, unless they tell me differently, that they don't know anything about this area. So we try to, when they point a home to me and they say, this is what I'm looking at, can you go show it to me? I used to, at one point, I would do FaceTime with them or something like that, but then I found that it's better for them if I just video the neighborhood. So I start maybe going down the main thoroughfare, the highway, or wherever I am, and I'm videoing that, and I'm videoing entering the neighborhood so they can just get a general idea of what it looks like, because they're not here. And then we do the house, and I do it in segments so that when I send them these links, they can review it. If I'm on FaceTime with them, they might forget
Right.
what it looked like, what the kitchen looked like, or maybe the
Yeah,
side.
can you go back and show me that again?
Right. So
right.
if I send them the link, then they can go back and they can and they can look.
Do a little virtual
and
tour.
And so that works out, because it's always a concern for me. I mean, the one thing, and I've never had it happen. I don't want it to happen, but I would hate for somebody to move here and go, wow, I can't believe you put me in this crap.
Right.
That would be a bad day for me.
Yeah.
So I try to be as detailed, and I really try to put myself in their position. And that's honestly what I was doing with Tanu, and you do know, because I called Ryan right after I left you. So I said, Ryan, I've got to help this. I've got to figure this out.
Yep.
I have to figure out how to navigate this and what's best for him. Because he's got to get into a home, he's got to get out of this home.
Yep.
And the reality is that buying a house is emotional. It's a feeling. You can sit here and tell me I want a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath on, with a fenced yard or whatever, but I want a colonial, but it's emotional. You have to feel it. You have to walk in and go, yes, I can see myself living here.
Yeah.
I
Was
can
that the
see
case
my
for you?
family living here.
Yes.
I can feel it.
That's great.
Because we saw homes we liked, and
Right.
then once we walked into that one, we're like,
This is it.
this is it. We didn't even walk around yet.
Right.
We're like, this is
You
it.
just know it. So that's what I go for.
So you've been in the house a couple months now, right?
Yes, I think just about a month.
About a month? Yeah,
Yeah.
about a month.
Because I think one thing that really helped with that house too is because when she sent us the link, it had like the video that you could actually walk the house before you
That's
even.
right.
The virtual tour.
Yeah, it had the
Yeah.
virtual tour, so that really, really helped. Because before we went to the home, we had already did a virtual
Good
tour.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had a good idea of the house already. So you've been in it a month, and you were able, so not everybody's able to do this, but you were able to buy this house without selling first, which
Yes.
was huge.
Yes.
Right? Because getting all your stuff out of that house to sell first would have been really hard for you to do without somewhere to go. Right?
Yes.
So how was that transition for you? Like, was that just a weight off your shoulder, I'm sure, being able to just say, hey, I'm going to go buy this place, and then we'll worry about my existing house later?
Yes. I think one of the things that really made it easy for me is I could afford it.
Right.
Because that is something that most people are not getting, and like Miss Rose told me, buying a house doesn't normally mean you have to have a lot of money.
That's right.
You know, that's a mistake most people make. You know, being able to afford it, because I think one thing we did was I sent you over, you know, my fidelity, all those little
Right,
things,
right.
because the first time I bought a home, nobody really did that with me. They were just worried about, okay, how much do you have in the bank?
Right.
You know, they didn't figure out how much do you make, because if you make, you can't be working and paying for a house. You have to be able to save. You have to be able
right.
to have an extra. And I think when I sent you all the paperwork, you came back to me and you were like, okay, with this amount of money, you should be good to go for this set amount of house.
Yep.
You know, and if you wanted something bigger, this is what amount of money you actually need, and this is what we are looking at for your monthly. You know, once you tell me, okay, let's say if I'm making $10,000 a month, and you tell me, okay, looking at your income, you could afford a $4,000 house, a $3,500 house. That goes a long way to prepare me mentally. I'm like, okay, now I know I can save. I'm not just paying for a house.
That's right.
Because my first house, that didn't happen. You know, I didn't unfortunately make as much money as I'm making now. So my salary was just going straight to the house. Now to do other things, I have to work part-time and overtime in order to meet up other needs. But for you guys to tell me, okay, send us your financial, tell us how much you make, so we could, before we even buy a house, let's know what you can afford. You know, then once you came back with the numbers, and then I sat with my wife, I was like, oh, we could actually afford a house bigger than what you sent us.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a big disservice, you know, not just to our active duty and veterans, but to everyone. There's so many people that go through this process, and none of it's explained up front. And to have to go through that process the first time around with no guidance, no education, no, you know, you're just kind of winging it. It's really a disservice to our first-time homebuyers out there. So I'm happy that, you know, we were able to go through that kind of, what's that maximum amount I'm going to be qualified for? What is going to be a comfortable payment, right? So we start at the top, and then we figure out, what does that budget look like for us, right? And then we talk about the long-term strategy, right? What does that wealth building look like? So I have residual income. Where's that money going to go? And what am I going to need in my house? Talk to me a little bit real quick about, how does the VA help you with kind of fixing your house up to suit your needs being in the wheelchair?
So the way VA does it is, the VA has a couple of grants, depending on your level of injury. Different levels of injuries have different grants, you know. For me specifically, I'm at like the top tier, you know, where you could get the maximum amount of money available for you. So what the VA does is, there's a couple of funds, a couple of grants. I qualify for what is called a histogram, right? And it's $120 something plus $1,000 that you could use to modify your home. But out of all that, there's other grants you could use. Like generally, before I left the hospital, like this is something most soldiers don't know, you know. Before you leave the hospital, the VA, aside from your grant, is supposed to make that home accessible. The VA is supposed to make the hospital, before the hospital discharges you, they have to make that home accessible. You have to be able to get in and out of that house.
Makes
You
sense.
have to be able to get on a bed, you know. And most mistakes soldiers do is, they don't have this information. So they just go to the hospital, leave the hospital, come back home, and their family have to pick them up into the house and out of the house. Or they are like, oh, since I qualified for this grant, I will get home and then I will use the grant to remodify my home, which isn't that way, you know. And I'm happy, because for me, I had my brother Chris. She knows him, and then he is someone that could he sends me so many information that I don't even need some, you know. And And before we go into all that, just to go back a little bit, most soldiers, like you see people on the streets, oh, I'm a soldier, the army didn't do this for me, the army didn't do that for me. No, it's not the army, it's your chain of command. That is something that needs to be put out there. It's your chain of command, because even after my injury, before I even woke up from the bed, my friend had gone everywhere he needed to go. He had made sure all the necessary documents had been signed and everything good to go. So while I was at the hospital, getting all these grants to fix up my house and all that was easy, because every paperwork was done already, which is something that we know is a huge issue in the United States.
Yeah.
Army paperwork. All right. If you don't have somebody to sit there and be like, okay, this is what it's supposed to be, you sign here, you sign there, you sign there, it's going to sit in someone's office forever. So while I was in the hospital, all that paperwork was already done.
That's incredible.
It was already done. So before I even came home, I already had a way in and out of the house. I already had a bed lift in there. I already had, they went all the way. They were like, okay, this house is too small for us to install a stair lift to take you to your bedroom. Let's put they got me a new hospital bed, put it somewhere in my house, because the information was available, which is, I believe, why I was so happy to come on your platform, because people need to know there is a lot out there for them than they look. Don't just go sit and say social media and look at people crying about the army. You need that. People need that education. You need that information.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What would you say, Rose, is like your biggest takeaways from going through this process with Tanu? I mean, it's unique, but unfortunately it's not.
Right.
This happens, a lot.
Honestly, I feel privileged and honored. Honestly, I do, to be able to just do anything I can, to help you. I mean, he has the best spirit of anybody I've ever met in my life, in these circumstances. I mean, this guy has more humor to him, and yeah, I just feel so honored. I truly do. I mean that. And when I first met him, it was emotional.
Mm-hmm. I remember when you called me.
It was
after.
emotional, and I had to be like, put the poker face on her. Don't do this. Okay, he's not here to console me. So but I walked out of there, and I felt like I had a duty to you to make sure, with everything I could, that it went as well as it could go for you, and that you would be happy to the extent that I could be involved, to make it as seamless as I could. And yeah, that's and I'm so happy that's really the biggest benefit, that he's happy, and that his wife is happy, and I know his kids are happy.
One of the questions I was going to ask you is how. I mean, this is an emotional process compared to a traditional transaction.
That's right. It is.
How do you handle that? I mean, do you just wear your heart on your sleeve and go to work and just go do it? because it's out of duty. That's right. Because and you do know, because I did call you when I left him. So I felt like, okay, I have to do what's best for him. And the truth be known, it's an emotional buy. Everybody. So he, when he finds his home, that's great. It's emotional. He loves it there, and his family loves it there. But I have to look forward. I'm like, okay, so I have to be able to sell his current home, and that was a concern for me, and that was the reason why I called you, because I knew it was in his best interest for us to get he and his family out of that home. Because right now it was a hospital on the first floor when you walked in, and irregardless, that's emotional for people, and it's not the emotion that we want people to feel. It would take away from him. Yep. It would not help him. Right. So, that's the process that we're in right now, and so we're turning it back into a happy home, right? For the next homeowner. Yeah. That's what we're doing, and that benefits him. So we have talked before on this YouTube channel that we can use your VA entitlement twice, right? You can multiple times. and 2 times at once. And that's what we did with you, right? You had a VA loan before. We used it again. You had enough entitlement. You put a little down payment so that you can make that happen. We do have another example of where, you didn't have to take advantage of this because you had the funds for a down payment. But we have a situation where we could actually use the equity in the residence that he has as a down payment on the next place. We call it the equity booster. And we also have something called the golden ticket, where we can actually just pay cash for that next house if they don't have enough entitlement or don't have the cash like Tanu had, so they could go buy that next house. So I just want to say that because I think it's important for our service members and disabled vets that they're not stuck. Right? You were lucky enough to have the income, the cash, to be able to do what you had to do to get you into the new house without selling first. A lot of people aren't that lucky, right? And so there are options out there for people. So if you were to say one thing to all the disabled vets out there, right? What's like your biggest takeaway in this process that you would want to share with them that it's like, I just got to get the word out? What would that be?
Get the right team, do your research, know the right people, know what you want, because most people don't know what they want. And even if you know what you want, be open for changes or be open for interpretations. Because even when me and Miss Rose spoke about, because we had a few meetings about what I want, what kind of house I want, she didn't just sit there and be like, okay, yes, like give you that smiley face, like, okay, yes, like she's trying to sell a house. She will give you her insight, try to get people that will be honest with you, because not everyone smiling with you is going to help you out. The last person that helped me buy my house was so jovial, Jesus Christ, was so happy with me. And for me to find out, like, you just played me over, because my house right now is bigger than my house before and I'm paying less.
Yes, you are.
How? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
How? You see, so... And
no property taxes helps too, right? 100% disabled, right?
Yes.
So in the state of Maryland, in many states, you can get your taxes waived prior to ownership. So as long as you have that contract, we submitted that ahead of time and got that prior to closing, which was great.
Yes. Not having to pay property taxes.
Yeah, that's massive.
My old house, I didn't know until, a year or something afterwards? Because they literally just applied it this year before, which is something I would have gotten since 2024.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Rose, anything else you want to add?
No, it's just been a great experience. It truly has. And, I think the biggest takeaway for anybody watching this, though, is you really want to be informed as a buyer or a seller. You want to be informed and make informed decisions, right? So you can make good decisions for yourself. And if you don't have a team, like you say, that's willing to take the time and make sure that you do understand with eyes open and there's no surprises, things won't end up well for you. But at settlement, we're just signing papers because we've already done the work. There are no surprises,
right?
And that's really what you want, right?
Yeah, because I feel like soldiers, they need to take care of themselves mentally, and where you live has contributes a lot.
Absolutely.
The environment you live in contributes a lot, because when I walk into my home, I'm a soldier. We used to going from place to place, moving around. So there's certain things we really don't see, or our mind sees it, but we really don't actualize it, and for me to sit at home now, spend most of my time at home now, I want to be somewhere comfortable. I want to be somewhere happy, You don't want to be somewhere where you look every time around, you're like, Jesus, where am I? You see what I mean? And she gave that to me. Like, I walk into my house. You should see it come around, by the way. I got an interior
I've seen
designer.
pictures. I'm going to come by.
You walk into my house right now, and it's like, by the time I finish getting myself upstairs and taking that bed from my living room, which I hate. Sorry, my language. But by the time I take that bed out of that place, my house is going to be somewhere where I don't have to go anywhere. I'm self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Which my other house didn't have.
Right.
You know, I could do whatever I want in my house. My kids have their area where they play, do whatever they want. I have my area where I play and do whatever I want. My wife has her area when I'm getting her upset, you know. So just we sometimes we don't we can't control our mouth sometimes, but you know, because we're straight to the point. I don't like going around. I feel like Miss Rose gave me that. I feel like you guys gave me that, which is I could pay my bills and I don't even have to worry, you know.
Yeah.
You know, my wife and I can now actualize our dreams of traveling all the time, and we don't have to worry about the home like we used to, you know, which I feel like that's something really, really, something to be appreciated with what you guys did for us.
Well, it's absolutely our pleasure.
Yes.
You're an absolute incredible client to work with. And
Yeah.
Rose said it, your spirit is unrivaled.
Yes. It's admirable.
Yeah, it really. And you are a testament to what, you know, truly looking at the glass half full, right? Like, you have an incredible life to live, and you know it, and you treat it as such. And it's really, it's an infectious kind of personality that it's a pleasure to be around. So thank you for that. And thank you for your service.
Yes. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to contribute to the degree
hope I
that we
get to
did.
send you more clients.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
I hope
thank
you
you so
do
much.
too.
Hope I get to send you more clients, because that would be my pleasure to be able to refer people. You know, like, you have this experience, you want others to have this experience, because people like to keep things to themselves. You know, you need that information out there. You need people to be able to know, okay, this is where you can go to get this, to get that, to get that. And she has someone that Chris, everywhere we go, Rose help her back, help him back. Have you seen his house? Rose did that. Like, go there, see. He takes pictures, and some people be telling me, oh, I've seen your house. Like, wow. I'm like, but Chris, man, come on.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's great. He's a great advocate. Did a lot for you.
Yeah,
A great guy.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
Yeah, like
That's
he's getting me all these resources, because even my interior designer, you know, and everything, you know,
Yeah.
man, my house, I love it.
I know.
That's great.
I've heard.
Yeah.
I've seen.
Well, thank you. Thank you both.